Over the past 29 episodes on freedom and happiness, we've been exploring a simple but powerful question. What does it actually mean to live well? Not in theory, but in practice. We spoke about healthy food because the brain you think with is built from the food you eat. We spoke about sleep because a tired brain cannot experience clarity or contentment. We spoke about relationships because human happiness has always been social, never solitary. But we also went deeper. We spoke about movement and exercise, not as punishment but as a return to the rhythms of our ancestors, the hunter-gatherers who walked, explored, and used the bodies every day. We spoke about keeping life simple, because the modern flood of information overwhelms a brain that evolved in quiet forests and open landscapes. We spoke about slowing down through reading, reflection, forest walks, travel, cooking meals, and sharing them with others. In many ways, happiness is not something new we must invent. It is something ancient we must remember. Our brains were shaped by nature, movement, community, and simplicity. Even when we live closer to those rhythms, clarity returns, energy returns, and joy returns. If these ideas resonate with you, I invite you to explore the earlier episodes, because happiness is not in a single moment. It is a way of living aligned with the mind nature gave us. The Natufian culture, 12,500 to 9,500 BC, originated in the Levant, modern-day Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria and Jordan, as a transnational, sedentary hunter-gatherer society during the late Pleistocene or early Holocene epochs. They likely formed an admixture of Near Eastern, Anatolian-related and North African populations, characterized by unique genetic markers. They were the first to transition towards a sedentary, agricultural precursor lifestyle, relying on intensive wild cereal foraging, fishing, and gazelle hunting. Their development was tied to the climate of the Levant, thriving in a woodland environment that later faced challenges during the Younger Dryas Cold period. The Natufians represent the first known people to form villages and to extensively use stone tools for foraging, which later set the stage for agricultural practices. At the end of the last ice age, some 12,000 years ago, the Holocene epoch began. At the end of this age, what happens is that ice started to melt, and a lot of crops, things like maize, wheat, barley, flax seeds, rather than crops, started to emerge in their natural form in the forests. And when we talk in terms of the Levant region, we are talking in terms of a region which is between what is now known as Syria, Jordan, and the part of the Mediterranean, the so-called now the Israel, and those kind of areas. These people, they started to live together, and this is one of the first known civilizations of late, though there are remnants which modern day archaeologists are beginning to unravel in areas southeast of Turkey in a site called Göbekli Tepe. So these civilizations started to emerge, and as I have been talking about in my previous episodes, that these civilizations gave birth to empires, and empires gave birth to certain way of life. Gods were invented, religions became prevalent as a means to govern and control societies. And in the last 29 episodes, in our quest to search for what exactly makes us happy and where exactly are we headed, I will try this be the last episode of this 30 episode series where we have talked about so many things. We've talked about living a healthy life, we've talked about having good sleep, we've talked about having good food, and we've talked about the importance of social relationships when it comes to happiness. So, hello and welcome to this 30th episode in our series on freedom and happiness. So, spending time alone in nature, in the parks, in forests, with your partner, these are some of the short ways in which we can really enjoy our lives. So from the civilization in the times of the Levant, let's move forward to how things may have been for humanity. The subsequent civilization in the subcontinent, the Southeast Asian part, where today you have India and Pakistan, some 7,000 to about 2000 BC, is a civilization which is called the Indus Valley civilization. So this is the civilization of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Here we see how humans progressed, how they started to, inculcate architecture into their cities, and we find evidences of planned cities in the civilization of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. We also find evidences of trade and its relationships with the Gulf and coming down to Southeast Asia as well. We also find evidence of clothing, we find evidence of role in the social structure, we find evidence of coins, and we find evidence of trade and commerce at a scale which till recently, till a few decades ago, nobody thought was possible. After the Harappa and the Mohenjo-daro civilizations, we can then think about the ancient Mayans. We can think about the Inca Empire and so many civilizations of South America. Also, concurrently, around the same time, we also find evidences of civilizations in Sumeria and Mesopotamia. And we find evidences of huge structures which go on to show the kind of advancements these civilizations had when you look at the Sphinx of Gaza or the huge Giza pyramids. Fast forward, we move a few hundred years ahead in time and we come at a period of around 500 BC. And as I was watching a few episodes on BBC, it's worth mentioning here that around 500 BC, there were three people who, even today with their thought and the way they looked at the world and the way they gave their knowledge to the world, people like Gautam Buddha, people like Confucius, and people like Socrates. These people gave us those kind of thoughts which still shape modern human thought, thinking and modern civilization. Since I live in India and since as a student in the school, our history was, and rightly so, favoring a major portion of our history we read was about Indian history. And we move even forward, we move a few hundred years ahead. We had this invasion of Alexander the Great at the banks of river Jhelum, and the Battle of Hydaspes, as it is known, between Alexander the Great and the King Porus. And from here what has happened is Greeks also influenced Indian civilization for a long time. And when I say Indian, I mean areas between India and Pakistan. In Magad, Alexander the Great, after he left, there are so many versions of the war which I really don't think there's any need for me to go into. Left one of his ambassadors, Seleucus Nicator, in Magad, and he was there around 40 years after Alexander left India. And all these influences then started to amalgamate. Alexander fought for 18 years. He fought so many battles and he brought so many civilizations together. Conquered the Persian civilization, which was one of the largest. He could defeat Darius the Great. And so, this brings forward to
who we are today in terms of amalgamation of so many cultures, civilizations, thoughts, processes. India moved forward. We had the reign of the Hindu kings, and it all just took a subtle turn. I would say when, as per Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, once we read the discovery of India, he talks about the death of Harshvardhan. And once Harshvardhan expired, this huge empire he had was divided into different satraps, and these people, they started to fight amongst each other. And it is here that the center of power in India shifted from the north to the south. Amazing kingdoms emerged, the Cheras, the Cholas and the Pandyas, and this lay the foundation for a lot of trade and maritime activity in the southern kingdoms up till Southeast Asia. And that is why today you find so much of influence of the Tamil culture, their writings, their music, just because of these maritime activities. So the shifting of the center of power actually created a vacuum in north of India. Islam was just about coming up, and we started to face a lot of invasions in the form of the slave dynasty, the Balban dynasty, the Khilji dynasty. And this was the beginning of the era of the Islamic invasions and starting of the Mughal Empire. And this continued for another 300-400 years. I mean, there were skirmishes in between. There were Afghan warlords and there were Persian warlords who would come, and battles would take place. Even the later armies of Genghis Khan and all almost came to the doorstep of India, though of course they never came inside of the country for whatever reasons. So this is how we in India, this is how humanity in India kept progressing. And this is exactly the time when people of the Levant, which I just touched base upon in the starting of this episode, they, these people who started to follow at the turn of the millennia the teachings of Jesus Christ the Lord, and Christianity spread all across. So a lot of people who were initially following Judaism converted into Christianity as well. Over the next 800-900 years, these monks who were spreading Christianity, these bishops, they would sit in the monasteries, and they would think about a lot of Western thought, a lot of Western philosophizing, and a lot of teachings from these monks that started to get spread across. It's not only that these monks were engaging in spiritual activities. Besides spiritual, monks did a huge amount of study on math, astronomy, algebra, and so many things. And it's only once, as I had mentioned 3-4 episodes ago, with the start of the printing press, it was that the spread of knowledge really went about. And once these the teaching of these monks in terms of the different sciences that they studied, they started to be thought about by people who studied these books. Inventions arose. So once these inventions started to be put into practice, things like gunpowder came into the picture, and this kind of gave a lot of military superiority to the armies of Europe, who then started this era of colonization. Just think about it, how things have come together in the globalized world which we know of today. So once in the southern part of India, we had these magnificent kingdoms of South India doing maritime trade with other countries of Southeast Asia. Countries today we know as Cambodia and Myanmar, Thailand and Malaysia and Indonesia. And so this kingdom of the Hindu ruler Jayakarta, which today is known as Jakarta, became a hub for flow of goods and services from South America and the southern part of India. And so the British would trade spices against crops from South America, and that is how crops like potatoes and chilies and corn and so many things were bought by the British and were sent to their own kingdoms. And this all happened in the reign of the East India Company. The English East India Company also set up shop in China, and so China was a huge country which they ruled only on the basis of opium, and opium trade became a really big thing. The East India Company also went to America. This was the time when Christopher Columbus had recently discovered America, and so the East India Company started to spread its colonies in what we call the United States as well. So excesses of the East India Company actually brought the situation to a head where a lot of colonies started to take matter in its own hands, and there were protests. There were protests in India, there were protests in Turkey, later on there would be protests in Egypt as well. And so people started to put pressure on the British Empire to free them, and this is how independence movements in those 74 countries which were ruled by the British, which are now known as the Commonwealth group of industries, started to happen. And this is how trade started to happen globally. And whatever said and done, post World War II, there is essentially a two world order which came about in the world we know of as in today. And on one hand there were this communist bloc countries, on the other hand were powers which were led by the United States, which after the World War II emerged as the leaders of the West. And you see, the multinational companies really came to the forefront. In the 80s, Bill Clinton came to China, and there was a huge change in terms of the business and the economy would run from here on. Clinton had this dialogue with Deng Xiaoping, and he agreed to work with America. China also wanted to be a part of the World Trade Organization and became a signatory member of the GATT agreement. Little would the world know that with the technologies which the US and the West would bring into China, because of the kind of huge potential of the human resource which China had, would eventually make it into a manufacturing powerhouse. And slowly, in just about 1.5 to 2 decades, China became a factory to the world. And today, when we see the diminishing power of the United States and diminishing power of Europe, and we see China really coming up, its economic heft and military might really makes it a huge power today to reckon with. So in terms of the business and the multinationals, Chinese MNCs also have come into the fray in a big way. So why do you think I am telling you all this at this point of time? Now the purpose for me to tell you all this is because this brought in this concept of the corporate work culture and the modern human in just about 500 years time found himself bound to things like time and to schedule and to shift, office jobs, commute from home to work and back, and so many things. And this is like, when I think in terms of humankind, even if we were to disregard all the past, just think about the last 350, 400,000 years and look at the Homo sapiens. So I would say of the 450,000 years, the last 400-500 years is not even 1% of the total time we as a species have spent on this planet. And it is only because of that our instincts are those of the primates. We have primal instincts. In today's world is defined with a world with still medieval institutions existing, and we've got technologies of the future. Now this combination of primitive brain, medieval institutions and technologies of the future makes it for a very, very dangerous scenario. And this is where a lot of pragmatism in terms of the leaders of the world who need to get together and think about and decide in which direction should humanity go forward. If we look at the different philosophies in terms of the economic forms, whether it is from center left or center right or the extreme right, we come across all these ideologies and thoughts, things like communism, socialism. France has been social democrats for a long time. We also have been a democracy with a definite amount of socialism included in it, starting from the point of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So while it is a fact that capitalism has given us a lot of things in terms of technology, in terms of new solutions to advancements in agriculture, in terms of manufacturing, we've got much better consumer products, we've got much better products to eat, and in these consumer products so in terms of consumer products, we've got better cars, we've got better music systems, the computers, the computing power, the technology, the fertilizers, the biotechnology, the nanotechnology, the space technology. We've got aircrafts and modern day helicopters, modern day war machines as well. And this is what has given power into the hands of the few. And this is exactly where capitalism is headed as of today. In the words of the now ex-Greek finance minister Yanis Varoufakis, well, he talks about something called techno-feudalism. Now, this is something we can anticipate in the coming future if the public does not take action, or people do not get cohesive, they do not form groups together to give a certain kind of pushback, which a lot of governments around the world are doing today. And so once we have capital getting accumulated in the hands of a few, we find huge groups have emerged, people who have hundreds of companies in one group. Now these people, obviously because of the power of money they have, they can lobby very effectively with governments, legally or behind the scenes, have policies made in their favor, and to eventually give them exponential returns. And that is why in today's day and age we've got income inequalities which are really increasing. And when even our Prime Minister Narendra Modi talks about the global south, we do see that in the south side of equator, except for maybe a few countries in Oceania, we find people really finding it difficult to run countries, because their agreements with respect to the natural resources, with respect to the availability of capital to run their economy, run their industry, is severely restricted because of the loans which are given by international bodies like IMF or the World Bank at very unfavorable conditions. And this has kept the vast distance between the development of modern societies in global south and the western countries. So the question is, where exactly do we go from here? One recent example I can think of is the way social media can change or shape public opinion is from the fact that, if we all remember, 10-15 years ago there was this huge corruption scandal in Philippines with Imelda Marcos and her husband, who got embroiled in $1 billion controversy regarding corruption. And a certain marketing company took the contract for social media marketing of her son more than a decade later, and eventually ensured that this guy got elected as holder of the top position in Philippines again. Amazing, isn't it? And so it is the vast impact of social media which capitalists are leveraging to change and shape public opinions for their own benefit. It is here that we will really have to look at the general behavior of the public, which unfortunately the education we've had historically has been such where the education lacks a certain depth, it lacks a lot of width, and therefore it lacks context. And because of the lack of context, people also find that it is very difficult to have depth in terms of perspective. And this is something I want you people to think about. Where exactly are we headed? So, one of the finest ways of collective living and collective achievement is, I would say, Israel's effort at making a community of the activity of agriculture. And you see, what happened was that during and after the World War II, when Jews all across Europe were being persecuted, they came together, they settled down in this area of Palestine, and they created a state for themselves. And here, one thing worth mentioning among the Jews is the formation of kibbutz. And kibbutz was a collective way of farming. And since people all across the world, when they were coming into this territory, there were all kinds of people. There were historians, professionals, tradesmen, craftsmen, engineers, doctors, lawyers, political scientists, poets, and so on. And so this created a very balanced kind of a deep amalgamation of different sections of the society who came together and who did a certain activity collectively. And kibbutz even today exist in Israel, and they are a very fine example of cooperative human effort. Well, in India too, such efforts have been there, very, very visible. And efforts like Amul comes to mind, where this cooperative really got together and today exists in the form of a very professional company. They are into milk and milk products, all kind of dairy products, and Safal in recent years, and also forayed into agriculture, and they sell vegetables in different cities under their own brand name, and they have hundreds and hundreds of outlets. So this again is one of the things where we can sort of bypass the corporate culture and do away with this thing of capitalists coming together with their huge power, deep pockets, huge amount of capital, and kind of really swaying power over the collective. Some of the best ideas of governance come from countries like Iceland and so many Scandinavian countries who have very high rates of taxation, but in turn the government takes care of their citizens very, very well. Well, there are 5 or 6 main domains where the government is supposed to take care of its citizens, and it is security, internal and external, education, health, jobs, housing, and basically the environment in which people live. So essentially what we are talking about is very simple and very basic things in life. Roads where you can walk or drive on without potholes, freeways, pedestrian paths without any obstructions. In the evening, in the nights, you've got functional street lights. You've got drinking water which can be had just by the twist of the tap. Quality electricity which is uninterrupted. And pollution-free environment where people can breathe easily and lead a healthy and happy life. Some very basic facilities would include quality education which is free and healthcare which is free. And it is these kind of basic activities which the public thinks about the ideal government should be providing. And in a lot of countries including India, it is the bureaucratic hustle where a lot of these objectives and purposes get lost. I had gone to Europe at one point of time and was having a casual chat with the CEO of the last company I worked with, and he mentioned to me about Switzerland and how Switzerland as a country has a constitution which is only 1 page long. And he talks about a town hall meeting where the mayor collects all the people, all the citizens. He sets out a notice for a town hall meeting. People of the town, they come there, they gather together. He discusses the kind of budgets which have been made available for the city. People discuss amongst themselves how those budgets need to be spent, and then make a collective decision. So these things will of course have much better results And then of course once you visit those countries, those results and that kind of activity is so much more visible when you can come across some very I would say vibrant democracy at work. So as we come to the concluding part of this episode, and also this episode being a concluding part and a culmination of this 30 episode series which I have tried very hard to bring across to you, I can only say this one thing: adopt a balanced approach. Balanced approach in terms of how you live, how you eat, how you socialize, how you think, how you read, how you react, and how you work. Because it is this balance and this balance only, with a perspective of keeping this thought in mind that we are still that primitive ape which has very recently gotten into new technologies, new resources, new power, and we very quietly and maybe subconsciously edged out the other species out of this planet. And it is also representative of the fact that if we see over the last even 500 years, thousands and thousands of species of wild animals and birds and aquatic and marine life has gone extinct. And despite plundering Earth's resources to such a large extent, and despite the fact that today we have close to about 7 to 8 billion Homo sapiens on this planet, you always get this feeling, I'm not happy. So the answer to this happiness lies very much within you itself. So I hope you liked watching this episode as much as I did making it. I hope you liked the whole series as well. And it is my endeavor to embark on another one very shortly. The structure is there in my mind. I'll come up with another series of episodes which might really help take this agenda forward and connect with you people much more closely. Thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.